Hello and welcome to our brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader, and tonight we'll be focusing on a couple of segments over the course of the Daily Debate for tonight, one of which is the International Economic Conference that was conducted by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli on Sunday to be clarifying the events, the economic steps that will be taken and undertaken here in Egypt in the near future following the global financial and the economic crisis. As for the second segment of the Daily Debate for tonight, we will be focusing on the Egyptian-Emirati ties and relations, as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Saturday extended condolences over the death of the Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the former president of the United Arab Emirates, on a one-day visit to Abu Dhabi, and of course sending congratulations as well to the new president of the United Arab Emirates, Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. This for the first segment, the economic conference of Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, and the second segment would be on the presidential activities of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, his brief visit to the United Arab Emirates and the Egyptian-Emirati relations. And to be focusing on both segments, I'm honored to be having with me over the Daily Debate for tonight Dr. Ibrahim Al-Ghazawi, the international law expert and the political analyst. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Anytime. First of all, we will be starting with a report about the International Economic Conference that was held by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli following the global financial and the economic crisis. We will be having more details in this upcoming report.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli held on Sunday a press conference to present the government's plan to mitigate the impact of the global economic crisis and attract local and foreign investments. During the press conference, Madbouli said on Sunday he wanted the private sector to account for 65% of all investments in the country within 3 years, up from around 30% at present. He also said that the government aims to decrease total debt to 75% of gross domestic product in the next 4 years from 86% currently, and the budget deficit to 5% from 6.2%. Madbouli said that the country aims to achieve a primary surplus of about 1.5% in the current fiscal year that ends in June 2022, which would rise to 2% of GDP over the next 4 years. The Prime Minister also referred to the country's growth rate in the first half of 2022, which reached 9%, adding that inflation rates have soared globally, reaching 50% in some African countries. He added that the impact of the coronavirus and the ongoing Russian-Ukrainian war have affected the whole world and forced some countries to implement drastic measures, referring to the recent decision by the U.S. Federal Reserve to raise interest rates twice, a move that was followed by similar ones in the UK and other countries. The Prime Minister also said that the current inflation rate stands at the pre-corona pandemic figure, which comes in line with the government's endeavors to keep inflation rate under control. Madbouli announced a new measure taken by the government, which is the formation of a unit affiliated with the State Council to solve all the issues and impediments faced by investors. He also declared a new license called the Golden License, which is granted to investments in 3 main areas, including the green economy.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate. Dr. Ibrahim, the main conference, the economic conference that was held today by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli about the global financial crisis and the impact of this crisis on Egypt and the steps that will be taken by Egypt economically in the upcoming near future. How do you see the steps that were spoken of today?
Well, today's conference by the Prime Minister, Dr. Madbouli, was a clear-cut roadmap to the coming years, how Egypt is going to act and react in terms of economic challenges that are unfolding on daily basis today.
Yes.
We all understand that the world today is not the world a few months ago. Things have changed dramatically and diametrically in the last couple of months.
Yes.
In the wake of the start of the Russian-Ukrainian invasion. And the whole world is suffering from the side effects of that invasion. And the problem is that such a challenge is not, so far, is not predictable. How long it's going to stay and what are the still expected repercussions of such invasion. But what we have witnessed so far is this gross and deep painful side effects of that invasion,
Yes.
especially on new rising economies like Egypt and other countries. Although, as I said, the side effects have hit the whole world, even the major powers in economy in the whole
United
world.
Kingdom, the United States, and Germany.
United States, China, United Kingdom, France, Germany, Japan, all the leading economies in the world are suffering a lot. And part of the suffering, of course, is this sharp increase in prices in all commodities, oil prices, energy, food, and everything. And Egypt, of course, is part of this suffering circle. But as Prime Minister declared today and stated, and I think all Egyptians know now by heart, is that Egyptian economy have changed positively after Egypt started the ambitious economic reform program in November 2016. And as Prime Minister expressed today that thanks to this reform program, that Egypt economy today is still up, holding very strongly and able to cope with the negative repercussions.
Still growing.
It's still growing, of course, in all aspects of its activities. And that is so clear to every Egyptian today, although what we are witnessing around us and the whole world of shrinking economies, and a lot of activities have stopped, and many layoffs in different companies, and a lot of suffering in all directions.
Yes.
Still in Egypt, things are going more or less at the same tempo. When we talk specifically about mega projects and some initiatives like Hayat Karima and other nationwide initiatives still going on the same direction.
كلنا واحد.
كلنا واحد, we all the same one. And so the message is that yes, Egypt economy is performing quite well, although there are some negative effects as Prime Minister expressed, but the government measures to cope with such side effects so far proves to be effective and to be up to the challenge. The figures declared in his conference today, although it is shocking in part of it as expressing the universal loss behind the current crisis that amounts to so far to more than $12 billion in this short period of time. But we have also to understand that this loss is probably divided in the whole world. As I said, all the countries are taking such a share from this kind of painful circle.
Yes.
One of the things that is probably very remarkable in the conference today is the messages sent to different partners of Egypt economy life. Like a message to normal individuals that the government is aware of the challenges. The government is not leaving things to go as it goes, but there are already measures being taken, and there are other measures in the way to be taken in the near future, and all the steps taken and other still to be taken in the future are within a vision, a clear-cut vision for the government, how to deal with this. So it's a message of hope and tranquility to the Egyptian street, that things are going and the Egypt economy is in good shape. Other message, of course, sent to the partners in Egyptian economy, like public sector and private sector. One of the things that was stated today, which is probably reflecting sort of change in the Egyptian policy, is giving more attention to the private sector participation in the Egyptian economy. The Prime Minister declared that the government hopes to increase the partnership between the private sector and public sector in the coming 4 years to reach probably 60%
of the market share.
Of the market share, 60% for the private sector, which is now around 30 or 35. So the message is opening gates for the private sector to involve more and more confidently in the Egyptian economy activities, which is also an answer to some calls in the previous months that the private economy in Egypt or the private sector in Egypt is hoping for a wider range of activities, which is now, what he said today is an answer to this question. So the third message is to investors, whether internationally or territorially or even locally. The message is that Egypt is opening wide windows for investors to come.
Yes.
And Egypt is doing its best to control any problem and try to resolve any obstacles or anything that may curtail the progress of investment in Egypt, especially things that usually come out of crisis, like the one that we are going through today.
Yes.
We all know that one of the repercussions of this crisis when it happened, what they call the hot money withdrawal from the Egyptian economy. And what he said today is a message that this hot money is not stopping us. On the contrary, we are working vigorously to find and to continue with the circle of investment, foreign investors opening, facilitating more and more access to partnership with investors. And that includes not only changing existing laws, but also dealing effectively with the administration in Egypt, the administrative obstacles, trying to resolve some chronic complications, dealing with the governmental institutes and different activities, which is also a message that Egypt is determined to deal with these issues and one by one from the roots, which is the methodology of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi since he took office. He usually used to do what it must be done to deal with any problems from the roots.
And there is also today a very evident point is that we deal with things with transparency, to be keeping the public updated with the economic situation in Egypt, with the economic situation all over the world. How do you see this step? Because you mentioned that there is a new policy ever since President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi took office.
I think this is one of the very positive additions of the governmental methodologies of handling its concerns.
Yes.
Transparency and opening things up with the normal people. The Egyptians have to understand what is going on. And it's not only just a matter of information, but it's a matter of partnership, full partnership and ownership.
Understanding. We need to understand the
yes,
situation.
Egyptians need to understand what is going on. And individuals in the street are part of the equation. They are not, outside the equation. They are the heart of the equation of economy in Egypt.
Yes.
So what the government does today is that opening windows of awareness and understanding with the normal people, the Egyptian people, which is not new, I have to say. And President Sisi, in most of, or even all his speeches and his words to the Egyptian people, he always reiterates the fact that people must understand, and the government must be open, must be frank, to give the people message of honesty and openness. And as I said, the sensation of ownership and partnership, full ownership and full partnership between Egyptian people and Egyptian government. And I think today the message was clear in the same direction today, that the government is not hiding anything, and the government is seeking always openness, dealing with the people and Egyptian people. From the other hand, it's also a message of confidence to whoever would like to work in Egypt, whether investors or producers or manufacturers or any other activity, that there is an atmosphere of openness, atmosphere of honesty. And such an atmosphere, I have to say that it is vitally important for any activities to be completed or to be going on continuing. As we usually say, we don't need a momentary participation. We build on sustainable partnership and sustainable development, sustainable investment process. And sustainability here means it's continuous forever, without
Coming
limited time.
generations
It's
too.
yes, it's continuous circles of activities, and also it's a mechanism that we must build on. We have to ground all activities on such basics and principles of openness, transparency, accountability, and the government. I have to say also for a particular part. Historically, it wasn't like that. There was sort of, one-way running of the governmental issues and economy, and with a lot of economic partners might have been excluded from the equation of information and partnership. Today, the situation is different. Building an economy, strong economy like the one Egypt is building today, usually should be based on full partnership. And this sort of partnership cannot be built but on mutual confidence, mutual respect, and mutual understanding. Probably what we have witnessed in the past years also, a new trend in the Egyptian government dealing with rumors that probably on a weekly basis they are covering,
social
yes,
media.
The Prime Minister office is covering this chronic issue of rumors, which is very, I have to say, very dangerous and very threatening, because so many people might think that such rumors are true, and that could open the way for the stability.
The Cabinet's information and
yes,
decision-making center.
Yes, exactly. And probably on daily basis or weekly basis sometimes there is covering to such rumors and dealing with them.
And telling the truth
yes,
at the same time.
Dealing with it, telling the truth. The idea is, the government has the truth, and the government has to declare this truth timely, which is something that was not done before.
Yes.
Today, it's part of this open atmosphere of activities, and probably the government is convinced today more than ever that the partnership with the private sector is not a luxury for us. It's a must. The burden of building economies, even in the first-line countries, economies like America, China, Germany, Japan. It's basically based on the private sector, not the public sector. But we have also to be aware of the fact that following the years of 25th January Revolution and 30 June Revolution, there was a lot of shakings and a lot of events, political events and economic events. Most of the cases were negative and have taken the economy to some negative directions, and that's why the Egyptian economic reforms program in 2016 was a must at that time to bring back the vehicle of economy in Egypt to the right path. I think today, with the Egypt economy going through the current crisis, we still can witness the positive effects and impact of this reform program, which has given Egyptian economy a strong sensation of resilience and capability of resisting the factors of collapse and the factors of stagnation, the factors of inflation and that kind of stuff. And also we can look around us in many countries around us, and whether in Africa or in other continents, they are suffering much more than the levels or the figures of the Egyptian economy is going through today. I'm talking about inflation, for instance, or the exchange rate between the foreign currency and the local one, and that kind of stuff. So the overall vision of the current economy situation in Egypt is really promising, and that is not only what I say or what economic experts say in Egypt, but this is also the opinion of the International Monetary Fund and the international financial renowned institutions that have given future stable vision of Egypt in the coming years, which was all reflected in Prime Minister Madbouli press conference.
Yes, one of the statements that were made by Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli today during the conference is that Egypt has a growth rate of 8.3% in the second quarter of 2022. How do you see this figure, especially after coming out of the coronavirus pandemic and then the tensions between Russia and Ukraine in Europe?
It's really promising. As I said, Egyptian economy is doing very well, even under the negative repercussions of the current crisis of Russian-Ukrainian invasion. These figures are telling clearly that the Egyptian economy is on the right track, even as you just mentioned, before even the Ukrainian crisis. We have been through the COVID-19 crisis also.
Yes.
And out of this crisis, the Egyptian economy came out also strongly, achieving annual rate of growth even more than normal. And I have to say that probably it was the first in Africa in growth rates during COVID-19 crisis. Yes, we have to admit that there are rising prices, and Egyptians are suffering from rising prices in different sectors.
The whole world.
But this is a world.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's not thing that is for Egypt. It's the whole world. Probably we are less than many other countries. And there are other strong economies in the world, territorial economies and international economies, that the rate of their local or national currency, has dropped down in comparison to the dollar and euro and other international currencies.
Yes.
But for Egypt, the central bank in Egypt is doing really a job to curtail the bad repercussions of this crisis, trying to make this necessary balance between the need to give stability to the national currency, the Egyptian pound, and the need to make it matching also with its real value with the dollar and euro and other international currencies. And one of the things also that is so promising is the continuous growth of Egypt exports,
Yes.
which was declared today. It has reached so far probably $45 billion, which is the highest in our history, I have to say. And it's continuing in rising, which is really a message that the Egyptian economy machinery is active, is positively moving. Yes, there are a lot of challenges, and the rising prices, and of course, international crisis has left its repercussions on us. But at the very same time, it didn't take us down. It's probably has limited to some extent our growth tempo. But all the threads of development in Egypt are going the same direction. And probably also the people noticed in the previous probably few days and weeks, the President Sisi called to, and also instructions to keep the tempo of all the projects on the same line, and nothing stopped. It means that, yes, Egypt is able to handle the repercussions of the crisis without stopping or making a halt to existing or ongoing projects. So all things are going, and I believe that with the existing crisis, with the understanding of Egyptian people, with the inclusion of the private sector more and more in the circle of Egyptian economy activities, and with also the support of the Egyptian major partners in the economy, like big capitals in the private sector and also in the public sector. We have enough assets to build on that. We have enough assets to move ahead. And as I said, it's usually when the crisis is coming from abroad and you are not able to control the crisis itself, but at least you can control how to deal with this crisis.
The response.
Yeah, the response. And that was, I think, was the core target of the Prime Minister press conference today, that sending the message that Egyptian government is tackling the crisis, is working over the day hours and weekdays and months and years to deal with any challenge that could be unfolding in any moment. As I said, usually in the most important thing in any economy is keeping the tempo of construction, the tempo of manufacturing, the tempo of agriculture, the tempo of trade, the tempo of exports. But when you have these rates in Egypt, rising, this is really promising. This is a message of stability, and it's a message that the Egyptian economy is the diversity, of activities, based on which the Egyptian economy is up and is holding up, is also one of the points of strength of Egyptian economy. It's not only agriculture, it's not only manufacturing, it's not only trade, it's not only Suez Canal, it's not only tourism, it's all of this all together. And I have to say that the government is doing a lot of activities and a lot of efforts to bump more and more, encourage to such different peripherals of economy in Egypt. When you talk about tourists and tourism industry in Egypt, a lot of mega projects today are to be inaugurated in the coming probably weeks and months. And we talk about the agricultural reform program in Egypt with a lot of lands reforms programs, and a lot of agricultural lands, being added to the Egyptian already agricultural
There was
areas.
also a very important point that Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli spoke of, which is the golden license of investing, for the investors to be investing in specific fields in the Egyptian economy, like green hydrogen, for example, electric cars, desalination of water and the infrastructure. Why do you think the government chose those specific fields in the economy?
Well, for two main reasons. The first one is these are new technologies. It's so the Egyptian government aiming at localizing this industry and making Egypt a magnet for such industries. Because it's new technology, it's just new for Egypt and like most of the world countries. But Egypt has advantageous position in such activities. When we talk about renewable energy, the solar energy, and the green energy, and like electric vehicles and that kind of stuff. This is also the other reason is this is the future of industries, I have to say. We all witness the problems of unstable level of oil and energy prices, ups and down all the time.
Yes.
And whenever it is up, it's a crisis for the whole world. The prices are going to the sky.
For everything.
Forever, for everything. Everything goes up. And it's very much linked with the crisis and security status of the world. But when you have the renewable energy industry localized here, and you start to lean more and more in such energy as sources for energy instead of classic sources of energy like oil and that and petrol in general. This is a very positive and strong addition to our economy. It's sort of enrichment and consolidation of our economy. The two main reasons that I mentioned today are also a reflection to the continuous call from President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to invest more and more in such green energy sectors and environmental industries. And we all know the environmental problems and the change in atmosphere of the globe, and the negative repercussions of this change.
The climate in general will be hosting the COP27 in Egypt.
In Egypt, yeah. So that goes in line with Egypt's full involvement in these issues.
Yes.
And it goes also with President Sisi policy of investing more and more on this new sources of energy. And already Egypt have started very vigorous and ambitious projects of green energy, like solar plants in Bin Pen in Upper Egypt, in Aswan, and other solar plants and everywhere. As usually they say, this is the future of energy. And as the sources of such energy are endless, because it's linked to the sun, and the sun comes on every day.
Yes.
So it's not going to end. It's not going to be at the hands of producers, and it is going to be ups and downs like normal oil industry. So I think this is new windows for sustainable development in Egypt and real investment fields. That's why that's given that sort of advantage, given the golden license, because Egypt is opening the way open and widely open for such sort of activities to be localized here in Egypt, to be part of the Egyptian economy and industry.
And to be part of the future of energy and the future of Egypt and the future of the economy of the world as well. Dr. Ibrahim will be turning to the second segment of the daily debate for tonight. The brief visit made by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the one-day visit to the United Arab Emirates and more specifically to Abu Dhabi, to be extending condolences over the passing of Sheikh Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the former president of the United Arab Emirates, and meeting with the president, the current president or the new president, the newly elected president of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. All the details are in the upcoming report.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on Friday mourned the death of UAE President Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who passed away earlier. President al-Sisi said that Sheikh Khalifa sincerely loved Egypt and was a loyal friend in all circumstances. President al-Sisi added that the UAE's late president gave much to his country and his nation until the Emirates became an icon for development and modernity in our region and the world. In a statement, the president offered his condolences to the Emirati leadership for its loss on behalf of the Egyptian people. He added that he prayed to Allah Almighty to extend His mercy and forgiveness to the late UAE president and to maintain the UAE's progress and pride. The UAE announced a 40-day mourning period nationwide starting Friday over the death of the long-time ruler. Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan served as the second president of the UAE and the 16th ruler of Abu Dhabi since 2004.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate. Dr. Ibrahim, the special relations that bind Egypt and the United Arab Emirates, how do you see them, especially during the tenure of the late President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and the newly elected President, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed?
Well, I have to say it's a long story of friendly relations and cordial relations between two very close people, the Emirates, United Arab Emirates people and Egyptian people. And it's not only started with the late Sheikh Khalifa, alayhi rahmatullah, but even Sheikh Zayed Al Nahyan has started this symphony of eternal historical relations between United Arab Emirates people and Egyptian people. Sheikh Zayed rahmatullah alayh and following him, his sons after him, are on the same course of Sheikh Zayed of being always in the same trench with Egyptians in good and in bad times.
Yes.
When we have to remember that during October War of 1973, Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Ali rahmatullah was sent by his father then, Sheikh Zayed, commanding a company, a mechanic infantry company, and participated himself in 1973 October War against Israel.
Yes.
That was a message at that time that Sheikh Zayed himself sending his elder son, leading his participation and United Arab Emirates participation in Egyptian huge and big national and Arab event like this 1973 October War. And the story continued in all difficult times that Egypt have gone through. United Arab Emirates has always been supportive. And if we go through our recent history, we will find endless good lessons, learned lessons of positive relations between the two countries. I have to say that United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt, the three pillars of today's Arab work, Arab world locomotive joint work.
Yes.
And that's why President Sisi have to go himself to pay condolences to the United Arab Emirates people and to Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed on the passing away of late Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed, and also to congratulate Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed for presidency of United Arab Emirates to continue the line of development and modernization march that started by Sheikh Zayed himself, and then Sheikh Khalifa, and then comes the rule of Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. And I have to say here that one of the things that really is so significant and very much positive and giving message of stability and security and richness in that country, how the power moved smoothly in over probably 24 hours, and between Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed, late Sheikh Khalifa, and Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed.
Unanimous decision.
Yes, unanimous decision, without any delay. Even the Constitution of United Arab Emirates gives a 30 days span of time for taking such decision. But United Arab Emirates leaders have always given the whole world this exemplary model of power change. It's very smooth, very calm, very friendly, and without any problems whatsoever. It's a message of stability, a message of secured environment for politics and for economy and even for social life and culture and all sides of the life of the United Arab Emirates state. And yes, I have to say that the United Arab Emirates, atmosphere of stability is very much should be looked at as a standard of stability in the region, standard of welfare, standard of administration, standard of modernization, standard of progress. I have been to the United Arab Emirates several times, and I have seen this in every way. Everywhere I have gone there. So it's really a very admirable place, and the way the power have moved very quickly, very smoothly, without any problem, without any complications, and that's a message to the whole world, not only to the Arab world, that this country has strong institutions, that this country is very well established. The other side of the story is how the United Arab Emirates have been always at the side of Egypt in all difficult times. We cannot forget in the wake of 30 June revolution what happened. They were strongly behind the change and the revolution in Egypt. They resisted all the allegations coming especially from some major powers in the world at that time, trying to make it like a coup in Egypt instead of revolution. The United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, they stood strongly in the face of these allegations, and they resisted this, I have to say, in a very strong and firm way. And I must say also and admit that thanks to these stances of United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia at the time, that a lot of positions of major powers in the world have changed very quickly. It didn't take time since then. They have witnessed this firm situation coming from United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia. And we have to remember that even in Africa, the African Union have suspended the membership of Egypt at that time.
Yes.
But very quickly things have come back to normal. Egypt has gone back to Africa stronger, more stronger than ever before. The involvement of Egypt with the African today is in a much higher level of cooperation, mutual cooperation and mutual interests than ever. The relation between Egypt and United Arab Emirates today at the highest level historically. And we have to remember that even when United Arab Emirates have suffered from the aggressive Houthi in Yemen attacks in several times, and Saudi Arabia, President Sisi was there to send them message of solidarity that the national security of United Arab Emirates is part of the national security of Egypt, that we are all in the same trench, we are all in the same passage of life, and we are supporting them as much and as strong as they do with us. So, as I said, it's a symphony of cooperation, and I'm quite sure that even the coming months and years will witness more and more, openness and involvement and integration between the two countries, United Arab Emirates and Egypt. But also I have to remind people that that was the message of Sheikh Zayed bin Nahyan alayhi rahmatullah to his sons. He advised them to rely on Egypt. He advised them to have good relations with Egypt. He asked them always to be supportive to Egypt. And we cannot forget that. The Egyptian people...
Egypt is in the heart
at the heart of all Egyptians. We recognize this. We feel gratitude to all Emirates, United Arab Emirates efforts to stand with us, to support us in tough times.
Economically as well.
Economically
after
as well.
2013
Yes,
and 2011.
Exactly. I have to say that in October 2013, at the time when Egypt was on top of very, threatening events. United Arab Emirates have offered more than $6 billion US to the Egyptian government to help Egyptian government to move ahead at the time when a lot of world countries, leading countries, governments were still hesitant and reluctant, are not able or not paying any attention to Egyptian concerns and Egyptian problems and Egyptian, bloody events that led to 30 June revolution. At this particular time, comes up United Emirates as a real support to us. We cannot forget that. It's a message, continuous message, that we have one destiny, the Egyptian and the United Arab Emirates people, we have one destiny.
And finally, in a couple of minutes, how do you see the future of the economic relations and the political relations between Egypt and the United Arab Emirates, specifically in terms of investment? The United Arab Emirates is usually interested in bringing what's new for the world, and we could be having the same experience and the expertise here in the country.
That's true. I think this is going to happen very soon. And I'm quite confident that the coming months and years will witness, as I say, more and more levels of cooperation, investment coming from United Arab Emirates and also going from Egyptian private sector to United Arab Emirates. And yes, the question and the magic word here, that we have this integrated vision of our future together. And that's the most important thing. We suffer from the same threats and we have the same ambitions.
Yes.
And we feel the same, that we have one destiny. That means, and that is being translated by President Sisi and Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, that should translate it in the coming weeks and months and years, inshallah, into practical moves of cooperation and higher level of integration of our different economy sector levels.
Yes, Dr. Ibrahim Al-Ghazawi, the political analyst and the international law expert. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Thank you so much.
Anytime. And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. Thank you for watching and goodbye.